Welcome to.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Berto is your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. It is about the big con. Kim Wallen Sanders is too far left. We already have comments coming in. Kim Wallen, I need you. I wish, I pray that you give us a call. Let me put that on the screen right now because I want to have a civil conversation with you for you to tell me why exactly, in your opinion, that El Señor Bernie Sanders is too far left. Please, I implore you, I am very calm and discussing. I want America to hear you tell us what are the reasons you think Bernie Sanders is too far left. Because let me tell you what I hope to do. What I hope to do is bring sanity. What I hope to do is bring honesty. What I hope to do is bring not only honesty, but bring a sense of peace to people. Because we have a plutocracy that's fooling you. And 409, I'll be coming to you in a second. We are starting to get these calls rolling. But let me tell you what the show is going to be about first. Let's get busy with the show. Title of the show today is... And by the way, for some reason, our website got some corruption in it. We'll clean it up later on after the show. It says, Privileged Patriarchal Democratic Con is in full swing against Bernie Sanders. Again, the title of the show, Privileged Patriarchal Democratic Con is in full swing against Bernie Sanders. And I would like to also say, as well, Elizabeth Warren. He likes Castro for starters. Kim, please stay with me. Please stay with the program. I will talk to you through the things that you're writing right now, given that you said you can't call. Because all those disbursement that you're putting out there, he likes Castro for starters. It is great to hear those statements because it is powerful how the plutocracy changes things. Now, subtitle of the show is Joe Biden won the first primary state ever in his third attempt at the presidency, and the establishment continues to will him as the candidate to topple progressives via Bernie Sanders. Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg have acquiesced to the establishment con, even as thousands of delegates are yet to be apportioned by the voters. It is manipulated consolidation they hope will squeeze Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren out of the race. But the establishment better be careful. Their gaffe engine of choice may gaffe himself into his normal failure as a presidential candidate. Joe Biden has proven in 2 attempts previous to this attempt that he's not only a gaffe engine, but there is going to be a repertoire to be built against him. He already has some issues where he's already stated a few bad things that he claimed. He was arrested before, and he has a way of telling not so well truths. And the plagiarism things are going to come out again. And when people talk about, well, is Bernie healthy or not? The issues that he's had with his health will come out as well. Again, Kim Wallen, give me a specific reason you do believe Bernie Sanders is too extreme. I will show you specific reasons why he is a better candidate. Both he and to some extent Elizabeth Warren is a better candidate for the middle class of America. And what they try to make as extreme is to tell you that you deserve much less. What is extreme is what we are doing to the middle class right now. What is extreme is what we are doing to the poor right now. And those are the things that we are going to talk about today. That is what we are going to talk about today. No examples, no or not poor example. Folks, if you're just joining us, I have a request. I need you. This is a very important show. Please ensure this show is shared widely. Please ensure that you share this show immediately because there's a con that is in effect. And the con is in effect by our mainstream media, by the plutocracy, by the establishment of the Democratic Party. It is all an orchestrated con to will onto you a candidate of the status quo, a candidate that's going to tell you we can't do it, a candidate that's going to tell you it is impossible for the things that will better your life to be successful. We have to start taking responsibility for our own selves. We have to start taking responsibility and tell that's going to tell you that we can be who. You remember what Obama used to say? We are who we have been waiting for. People, people, people. I need you to share. I need you to expose. I need you more than ever to share this show, because we are going to empower. We are going to tell people why the con is on and what you can do about it. We are here to tell you that the power is in your hands. We are here to tell you that yes, you can. So I'm asking you so kindly to please be sure to share right away. Please be sure to make sure that America sees this, because the mainstream media, just like many other domains, are on the take. They're on the take. They decided to say this race is now between Bernie Sanders and Biden. They decided. Biden won South Carolina, a small state. The first ever primary state in his 3 presidential runs he has won. The first time ever this man has won a primary. Bernie Sanders has won dozens. The first time. And with this older guy with privilege, he becomes the front runner. He becomes the one. Everybody is saying now, it's the one to beat Bernie Sanders after winning one primary in his life. To hell with Amy Klobuchar. To hell with Elizabeth Warren. This guy, this privileged guy, is the one now to beat. Before we get into this, I want to play a little something, because you know the coronavirus is the big thing that everybody's talking about right now. And for finally, we have Chuck Todd. And callers, I'm coming to you next. Callers, I'm coming to you next. Stay with me, people. Let me bring in how Chuck Todd, for once, sort of handled the vice president. And folks that are leaving messages, I'll be with you. And folks on the phone, I'll be with you. Stay with me. We have a lot to talk about. Here is how Chuck Todd handled it. The coronavirus must be waking up quite a few of the journalists these days, because I tell you what happened. Chuck Todd really challenged the vice president in an interview today in a manner that I don't think I've ever seen him do it. Take a look at it and we'll take it on the other side.
You've gone out of your way since you've been appointed to this to try to keep this from getting politicized. You have made every effort, every statement. But I want to play for you what some of your allies have said about the coronavirus. Here's including the president's son and the RNC chair. Take a listen, sir.
The coronavirus is being weaponized as yet another element to bring down Donald Trump.
Democrats are using this for their political gain to try and stoke fear in the American people, which is shameful, wrong, and I think un-American.
For them to try to take a pandemic and seemingly hope that it comes here and kills millions of people so that they could end Donald Trump's streak of winning is a new level of sickness.
None of this seems to match the facts. What facts are there that Democrats are doing this?
Well,
it seems like people are asking questions and they're concerned about the virus. This implies some sort of political motivation, which is kind of gross.
Well, I will tell you, there's been a lot of irresponsible rhetoric among Democrats and commentators.
Who is this?
On the left.
Name some names, sir.
Well,
because this is just, it just feels like gaslighting. Please name some names. We're all big.
Well,
we're all big people here. Name some names.
There was a column in the New York Times that by a prominent liberal journalist that said we should rename it the Trump virus.
Okay, does that apply to all people?
So that the president would be blamed. Chuck, this virus began in China.
Why take this? Here's what I ask you. This doesn't help.
This
does not help.
Decisive action to protect the American people. And when you see voices on our side pushing back on outrageous and irresponsible rhetoric on the other side. I think that's important.
Do you think this rhetoric from your side helps?
I never begrudge people responding.
Now, I don't think I've ever seen the challenge a Republican, that being now a vice president in that manner. That is actually very commendable. He actually accuses the vice president and his surrogates together. Notice how he phrased it, of gaslighting, and that's exactly what they're doing. This is the kind of journalism that should have been done long time ago. This is the kind of journalism that needs to continue, where you challenge these empty suits to ensure that what they're talking about is not a whole bunch of gaslighting, a whole bunch of lies. Chuck Todd on this one, good job. Okay, folks, now here's the deal. Let me get to the phones, and then I'll continue with much of what I have to say. Let me go to 409, and then I'll go to 828. All right, 409, you're hot. 409. 409, come on in. Okay, let me go ahead and put, okay, hold 1 second. I got it on a mute. All right, 409, you're on.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi, it's Anand. I'm just concerned about the establishment consolidating. Meanwhile, Warren seems to not want to endorse Bernie and seems to attack him more than Joe Biden. And the irony of all of this is she began her career attacking his bankruptcy bill in the 1990s. So she began her career not even about Hillary Clinton or anyone like that, but actually Joe Biden himself.
Well, that's true, but let me first tell you what I want to say about the consolidation. I really don't mind the consolidation that's going on the other side, because here's something that I've been saying that I want to make it clear to the Bernie supporters and to the Warren supporters. First of all, I don't want to have a fight between Warren and Bernie. Warren is doing something that she has to do to get some sort of attraction. I understand the political game. We have to be political big folk, big girls, big boys. We got to be political big girls, big boys. We understand what is happening there, okay? She's trying to get some sort of attraction, and there are certain things that Bernie Sanders doesn't like about Elizabeth Warren when it comes to her what she called accountable capitalism, and there are certain things that he doesn't like about her. Those are minor issues they can consolidate on. Here is my concern. I don't want her out of the race, by the way. I don't want her out of the race because there are some people that still are voting through what the mainstream media is talking about. The Bernie bros and all of that. They're convinced that that is a reality different than the Hillary boys or the Hillary girls or whatever, right? We all know that in all these followers, there are people that go into excesses in the way they follow. Now, that said, the consolidation, I have no problem with it. Let them consolidate, because as progressives, if we are to win, we have to go out there and make the case. All right? Are you with me? 409? 409, are you still there?
I'm following, trying.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I want us to go out there and make the case. What I want in making the case is for us to show the orchestration of the establishment of the Democratic Party to physically come out, to actively come out against a particular candidate, where all the other candidates coalescing just to make him lose, with the expectation to make him lose. I think that's cool, because a win, when you win with all the headwinds coming to you, it really means that you have the policies at hand. And I know that if I am able to reach, and folks, if you're just joining us, please, I beg of thee, the mainstream media is not going to do it for you. They are still working on the indoctrinative processes that work in people's minds. You notice Kim brought up the Castro issue with when she came on here about Bernie Sanders. And I want to have that discussion. Because when I talk about, when Bernie talks about Castro, You know, the world is not made up of one kind of folk. It's made up of a lot of people. For me, a person like Egberto Willies, a Latino, a Caribbean guy who comes from that part of the world, I can tell you that before a lot of these folks that came into power, people like me were sweeping floors, washing dishes, or singing. After a lot of these leftists came into power, people like me became doctors, lawyers, engineers, and otherwise. So the same kind of feel, when people get used to the con about, oh, he said nice things about Castro. Look, Castro was an autocrat. He was a created autocrat helped by the United States. If we had done what we needed to do back in the 60s, Castro would have been just another, similar to many South American presidents. But we didn't do that. We wanted to keep Batista in power, who kept people like me enslaved, who was nothing more than the bankster for a whole lot of the crooked people here in the United States. So the thing about it is most Americans don't know that. Progressives have to be able to tell their stories unabashedly, without fear. But what we do is we are fearful in telling the story. So we think we have to be the moderates because we can't win people over. So what I'm saying to you people is this. I don't care about the consolidation. Let Amy Klobuchar, let Buttigieg, let Bloomberg, let all of them get together and coalesce behind Biden. Biden is an accident waiting to happen. I would like them to coalesce against Biden. This issue is not about scared for them to coalesce before, because Biden will self-destruct. Biden is, let's say they coalesce behind Biden, he's likely to self-destruct right in a debate with Bernie Sanders. I'm willing to bet on that. So let them coalesce behind Biden.
Will Bernie attack him?
Go ahead.
But Bernie's a little too nice in the debates. Will Bernie actually, give him the attacks he deserves? It's not like, see, Donald Trump systematically crushed, if you want to compare insurgents, Donald Trump, I don't know if this will work, but Donald Trump, he really knocked Jeb Bush out, and then Chris Christie knocked out Rubio, and you could see these knockouts.
Yeah, but here's the deal, Anand. I just realized it was you I was talking to, Anand. By the way, folks, on the line is Anand Bhatt, very, very good supporter of politics done right, and a great activist out there. Anand, let me tell you something, okay? Bernie Sanders is not too nice. Okay? People have a tendency to believe you have to crush somebody with negativity to win. Let me tell you something. I am very not negative with people. And when I sit down and talk to people, we have conversations and we get commitments and changes. Bernie Sanders just have to go out there and give when he's talking to the working class, and I'm not talking about just white working class, when he's talking to the working class, all he has to do out there and says, this is what a Bernie Sanders administration looks like, and any progressive can go ahead and do that. The problem that we've had with progressives for so long is that they have been scared to go out and let folks know the money is there, the product is there. All we have to do is teach Americans a tiny bit about economics 101, a tiny bit that a first grader can understand. And that's what we need to do. I need to go to another call, Anand, but anything else real quickly before I drop you?
No, that was my question.
Thank you so kindly, Anand. Hey, look, keep the faith. Bernie is going to win big, and I'm kind of trusting that even Elizabeth Warren is going to do well. A lot of people disagree with my stance of wanting both Elizabeth and Bernie in this race. I tell you something. By coalescing against Biden, a lot of folks are going to see the wisdom in wanting to have two strong progressives as opposed to one strong moderate. We'll talk later, Anand. Thank you so kindly, brother. Are you there? Bye-bye. All right, let's go. 828, come on in. 828, you're hot.
Hi, Berto. It's Hope in North Carolina. How are you doing?
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, thanks. Hey, I sent you some thoughts today on this whole socialist meme thing with Bernie and how it's kind of inaccurate. And I don't know. I think there's been way too much comparison of Bernie to the Scandinavian countries where they have where they still actually have monarchies in place.
Right.
And there have been way too
Symbolically.
many references.
Symbolically.
Yeah. Inaccurate references to Maduro. If you look back in history, just real briefly, and then I have one more thing to say, and I'll hang up and let you finish your show.
Sure.
But, my whole thing for the duration of the campaign has been to kind of look at Bernie as a new dealer.
Amen.
Bernie doesn't really compare to the socialist Franklin Roosevelt, okay? I mean, if you look in history and you want to find a president that you can compare Bernie Sanders to in character and in platform, it's Ike Eisenhower. I mean,
interesting. That's a Republican.
Well, but look at it, though. I mean, nobody feared the military-industrial complex more than Eisenhower did.
Yes, you're right.
He was a Republican and he was a general.
Right.
But he really cared about people. And then if you go down the checklist, Eisenhower was about providing federal assistance to low-income communities. He was about protecting Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
He was about providing asylum for refugees. He was the whole minimum wage president, and extending that.
Right.
Strengthening labor laws. I mean, that reminds me so much of Bernie. And what is heart-sickening is, the establishment. I don't know if you caught the reports on CNN this weekend, but they're really revving it up, to try to slam it to Bernie on the whole socialist thing.
Oh, yes, they are.
So, I mean, I'm kind of in awe watching this stuff. I mean, as Americans, do we really want a $50 billion weapons policy? I mean, and that's just the weapons part of Trump's budget.
Let me tell you, Hope, let me tell you, Americans don't, all that intricacies that you're talking about, Americans don't know a lot of that right now, right? They don't understand the military-industrial complex. They don't understand the healthcare industrial complex. They don't understand the con. They don't understand that these are profit centers and they are just widgets. And what I try to tell progressives is, we have to accept that the Americans are much smarter than they are being taught, and we have to be the ones providing the message. And we don't need to get mad. We don't need, like I've been saying, I want the consolidation, because I think if we get the consolidation on the moderate side, we can knock out these guys perfectly. Because we don't have to knock out Bloomberg and and Biden and Klobuchar, all the centrists that are nothing more than the people who acquiesce to the plutocracy that allows their constituencies to be ripped off continuously. If we have one person to deal with, it's a lot better. So I don't want people to look at this and be fearful. I want people to look at this and say, now we have a job to do, and we can target the moderate. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah. I think in reference to the other caller's question about Bernie, Bernie was kind of just pummeled in the debates by 5 different people in South Carolina. And I grew up in South Carolina, and South Carolina is a very sort of traditional establishment place.
Yes.
Obviously,
patriarchal.
Jim Clyburn is a great statesman, and he really mobilized the vote for Joe Biden, and it's water under the bridge at this point. I really agree with you. I think that the Sanders camp is going to feed on this. They're going to retool, okay? And I think that the establishment swill of the timing of it will play in Bernie's favor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, as great a statesman and a vice president as Joe Biden has been, though, I don't think that he would debate well against Trump. I think he's slowed down, and I think that they'll get Bernie ready for it. And I think Bernie will be able to do it.
If I can interrupt you a second, because what you said is so true, but I want folks to understand this is not something we haven't seen before. This is Biden's 3rd run. He has always been terrible in the debates. He has never won a primary before. and he has never, ever, and each time he had to leave the election was for something, something that will bite him again in this election. Now, only a privileged person get the opportunity to be a loser over and over again and be given the opportunity over and over again. That in itself should have somebody like Amy Klobuchar, should have somebody like Pete Buttigieg, should have somebody, all these others that are newcomers into the race that have never been given a chance to fail and never have been blown up to that level that Biden has been blown up to after having failed. They should have something to say about it, but it shows the cabal as they all coalesce around what the masters tell them to do. It's a form of the antiseptic slavery that I've been talking about. What occurred in South Carolina, as I explained, we have to be respectful to all people who vote. But what we have to understand is these people are voting on false premises. They're voting on false information. And how do we know it's false? It has never been presented to them. Now, if I have spoken to Biden voters who, after hearing the stories, they would like, oh my God, I wish I had known that, then my vote would be different. Those who have used Bernie Sanders to malign his talking about these leftists that have, in fact, supported policies that made people like me around the world. You see, and that's what Americans don't know, right? Americans sit down in America and hear, oh, Chavez is a communist. Do you want America to look like? Nobody wants America to look like Venezuela. Venezuela is partially looking that way because the plutocracy has to ensure that no country sitting on that amount of oil can ever have anything other than a plutocratic system of government. Because if you somehow say all of this belongs to the people and it's shared accordingly, then Americans would start, the working class Americans in Appalachia, the working class Americans in the ghettos, the barrios, and everywhere else will start saying, wait a minute, why am I working so hard and getting so little? And that's the fear. You cannot have a successful country not following the pattern of the United States. Hope, is there anything else you want to add, my friend?
Well, I mean, just listening to you, and just one more thought, and then I'll let you go on. But, you know, I was driving back from work the other night, and it kind of struck me. I was sort of driving through a rural district in North Carolina and looking at sort of the shanty towns and, you know, a couple of working Americans kind of in these cottages, and thinking about people who have signed up for the National Health Care Plan, who now have these big deductibles, who have no services. And, you know, as you drive and drive and drive, you just see one kind of beat up little country house after another one, and then you see this gigantic funeral home in the middle of them.
Yes.
And then the beat up shanty towns continue, and it just reminds me, you know, the thing that kind of made me think about Ike was that Ike was the person who went out of his way to document the horrors of the Holocaust so that we wouldn't forget. And now we're going to have a president, or if we don't get Bernie, we're not going to have any Medicare for all. And to me, that's kind of like these houses on either sides of these funeral homes. It just reminds me of the establishment Holocaust.
What an analogy. Beautiful. Let me tell you something, Hope. Your name is the name, Hope. And let me tell you something, Hope. I want to tell you something. Progressives have a tendency to, and Skype caller, I'm coming to you next. Progressives have a tendency to, whenever, you know, we're on a march because we're talking a story that people really want. And then we have the plutocracy that comes in and creates narratives that fool a lot of people into believing what they're asking for is too much or unattainable. And there are a few people, and we don't come back and fight hard enough to say, no, this is attainable, and here are the numbers that prove it. We don't go through that stuff. We are just, oh my God, it's all over. It's done. Yeah. What I'm telling you, Hope, is this. Yeah. We depend on you, Hope. We depend on Anand Bhatt. We depend on all those folks that are supporters of this station. That are supporters of, to go out there and not cower. To win means you stick to your point. To win means you fight. To win means you don't cower. To win means to change. Bernie Sanders had an ending on the last debate that I'm going to make a t-shirt out of. And the reason I'm going to make a t-shirt out of that, what Bernie Sanders said, is because it goes this way. Things stay the same. I'm paraphrasing his words. Things stay the same until they don't. And what we have been going through over the years since Reaganomics is that whether it's a Republican or a Democrat that came after Reagan, they learned the wrong lessons from Reagan. The lesson from Reagan is we screw the middle class and we screw the poor, but with a smile, but with a narrative. That's the message from Reagan. We can smile and we can, as we are screwing you, we're telling you nice things. We are empowering you in your mind as we screw you. I wrote a book. I wrote a book. It's called As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. I didn't write this book. It only took me 2 months. There was so much out there. It only took me 2 months to write this book. You guys should check it out sometimes, my brothers and my sisters. And let me tell you why. Because I understood it. I came over here from Panama as a green person who didn't understand economics. I was so silly in economics that I remember taking my Economics 101 course and the professor said, okay, if there are a whole lot of widgets out there to be sold, there are many, 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 what happens? And I'm like, oh, that means the price drops because you can make so many now, or you know, the price, you know, he's like, no. I didn't understand the real concept of supply and demand. I didn't understand all these things about scarcity. We have in this country false scarcity that causes price to go up. Like if medicine is scarce because we didn't create the infrastructure to create the doctors necessary. We have the manpower the human power to create doctors and everything so that medical care is not scarce. Drugs are not scarce. Their prices are not justified, but we create a false scarcity so that a few can manipulate and make an hope. I'm sorry for the narrative, but these are times, and what I really want to do is make sure that Americans understand what we have to do to win in 2020. Because we don't win in 2020, the pilfer continues. Thank you so kindly for calling, Hope.
You bet. You have a good day.
You too, Hope. Now, folks, I have some other clips to show you. Some of them, particularly, I want to show you something about Biden. I want to show you how the plutocracy has always used different groups of people. And these people are, a lot of you are not going to get it. You're going to say, I'm pulling straws. I know some of you are going to say that. Let me go ahead and play this and then we'll take it on the other side. Oops, wrong thing. There we go, like that. Joe Biden was Joe Biden again, and Joe Biden shows his colors. Joe Biden shows the disregard he has always had for a particular set of people. I want you to listen to this, and then I'll talk about it on the other side, because a lot of these things are very subtle. People rarely get it. When Kamala Harris brought it up, many times she was disregarded. But check this out.
There's no doubt Jim Clyburn's endorsement was a big deal to your candidacy. The exit poll indicated it was a big deal. And he's got a lot of things to say about your campaign. And I'm sure you've heard about this, but this is what he said yesterday. I did not feel free to speak out about it or to even deal with it inside because I had not committed to his candidacy. I have now. I'm all in, and I'm not going to sit idly by and watch people mishandle this campaign. Do you accept his critique that you've had people running your campaign that has mishandled this campaign?
No, I accept the critique that we have to do a lot better. I accept the critique that we not. Is this a matter of addition, not subtraction?
Now, that was distinctly a Clyburn diss, but he caught himself, like Bloomberg caught himself when he said he bought the Democratic politicians that got elected, the 40 that he said he got elected. So has Biden caught himself. No, I don't agree. Here is the guy that after the exit polls were taken, 9% of the voters said that what made them vote for Mr. Biden is the endorsement from Clyburn. And when Clyburn comes out and says, I finally feel free to say that Mr. Biden's campaign needs an influx of folks who know what the hell they're doing. In effect, I'm paraphrasing, of course. When he says that, what do we get? We get a Biden simply dismissing the comment before he caught himself and said, oh, I better not really sound like that. If you think it was not a something that needed cleaning up, when you look at the other interviews that he did, he made sure not to include that part when they said, is Clyburn correct about that? I am listening to Clyburn and I have to add to it, etc., etc., etc. This is the kind of diss that these guys, after they win, after they've used you for a particular goal, this is the diss that they give to a particular sect. And this is something we've been talking about, a constancy of Biden for some time now. Too many fall for the con. Again, too many fall for the con. Hey, look, a lot of folks are going to say, oh, but why did you pick on? I mean, he said after he's gone. Look, let me tell you something. These guys don't want to. Let's go back to 2016 real quickly. Back in 2016, all Hillary wanted was the win. By the way, I voted for Hillary. I was a Bernie delegate, and good Kingwood folks sent me as a Bernie delegate. A lot of them were Hillary Clinton supporters, sent me as a Bernie delegate to Philly. So I'm respectful of that. And not only that, I always made a promise from the time I wrote at Daily Kos as a strong Bernie supporters. When it was time to coalesce around a candidate, I would coalesce around the candidate that won. I coalesced around Hillary Clinton, and all the writings I did at Daily Kos that got a lot of exposure gave the reasons why folks should vote for Hillary. And let me dispel a bad stuff that's out there about Hillary. Not about Hillary, about Biden. Not about Bernie. The truth of the matter is, more Bernie supporters voted for Hillary than Hillary supporters voted for Obama in his first run. I want you to recall it. So when the narrative goes out that somehow the Bernie folks behave so much differently than anybody else, let's get the truth out there. You can find it that more Bernie supporters supported Hillary than Hillary supporters supported Obama in the first term. Now, so that's dispelled. But during the Hillary run, we all knew there was a problem in Michigan. We all knew there was a problem in Pennsylvania. We all knew there was a problem in Iowa. We know that, and I mean Wisconsin. And you know, I wrote about it. I wrote about how Donald Trump was triangulating progressives. I wrote about the triangulation. Daily Kos, they tore me to pieces. You dummy, you can't read the polls? And I'm like, yeah, I can read the polls. But what I know is the polls are within the margin of error. And even though all the polls were biased towards Hillary showing a win, all of them were within the margins of error. But let me tell you, in these particular states, but let me tell you something further. Michael Moore went to Brooklyn. Hey guys, you have to come to Michigan. You got to come to Detroit. You have to activate them black folks that supported Obama. Give them a reason to vote for you. You got to go to Milwaukee. In Wisconsin. You got to go to those are the places you go for votes. But Hillary didn't do that. Again, just like what Biden did, he won a landslide in the black community. The guy that gave him the win, 49% of people said what made them vote for Biden was after El Señor Clyburn said, that is who I am voting for. That is a clear stuff. Remember, Bernie was catching him. But when in a patriarchal society that isn't as cosmopolitan as Houston or other places, when the master says, or the daddy says, this is what I'm doing, a lot of the population tend to follow. And please folks, don't say I'm condescending. It's just the way things are in certain parts of this country. That's just how it is in certain parts of this country. It's not about condescension. It's not about disrespectful. If you heard my video before, I talked about how we must be respectful to these people. In fact, before I go any further, I'm going to play that video with Dr. Eddie Glaude, who kind of makes that point and a little bit further. Check this out. One of my favorite progressive pundits on MSNBC, one that actually speaks straight and tell it like it is, had one of the most prescient statements on two issues. One on the black vote in South Carolina and two on the Latino vote. Here's the interesting thing, right? First of all, let's go ahead and hear what he has to say, and then we'll go ahead and take it on the other side.
This is what's interesting here, Eddie Glaude Jr., is that we may be seeing the Democratic Party basically split right in half with two different coalitions. Bernie Sanders leading a liberal Latino coalition, Joe Biden leading a moderate African-American coalition.
Yeah, that is so fascinating for me, mind-blowing actually. And in some ways, I would have never imagined, although I understand the data, that African-Americans would in some ways be the firewall for the moderate wing of the Democratic Party. To me, that is just stunning news. But let's be clear, I think we're in the South. South Carolina is a unique space. So to think about the African-American vote as kind of monolithic in that way, I think we need to be careful there, particularly as we move out of a particular side of the South. Yeah. But let's be clear here, too. Latino voters, that time bomb that everyone thought was about to explode has exploded.
I love it. Here's the deal. His statement is clear, and it's something that has been bothering me for a long time. To have the people that the establishment wing, or what we'll call the moderate wing, has been most detrimental to, for those to be the people who are supporting the moderate side of the Democratic Party, is actually disturbing. And it also points out a lack of us being able to get the proper information to these people in a manner that they believe, in a manner that they trust. Because the truth of the matter is, the current oppressive nature of the economic system that affects minorities, people of color disproportionately, it's the policies that are pushed by the moderate wing of the party and the Republicans. Trickle-down economics is a little bit more subtly by the moderate wing, but it's pushed by the Republican Party and the neoliberals and the rest of the Republican Party. We have to understand exactly what is going on here, and that we are unable to articulate that to the South Carolinians who voted for Biden. It's pretty much on us. So progressives have to find a better way to engage with those disaffected communities who somebody like Clyburn can come in and say, oh, Joe Biden is a good guy, at the same time that later on Joe Biden slights him. So we have to understand the dynamics of these entire issues and be a part of the solution, not to degrade or denigrate what these people have done, what these voters in South Carolina have done, but understand and use that as a teaching moment to say we have to get better with our game. But the second thing that Dr. Glaude had to say is amazing, and it's great. The Latino time bomb has exploded. Now, I saw that in Nevada firsthand. I was in Nevada canvassing, Nevada talking to hundreds of Latinos, disproportionate from all over. And what I noticed is there is a different resolve, at least there in Nevada. When we see Super Tuesday, we'll get a chance to see if that has metastasized throughout the country. I hope it has. I'm not completely convinced that it has because of some of the issues that I've seen here in Texas. But we'll see if that is coming more to fruition, if Nevada was the catalyst of that explosion. I hope it is. If it is, and these folks start to vote their economic interests and not necessarily a lot of their social being, then we'll be in great shape, and we will be on for a great November 2020. Okay, so I hope you got that. I'm on a caller from 602. I'm coming to you right now, but the one thing I have to do real quickly is ask my folks to support the show. So folks, if you are just joining us, I want to ask you so kindly, please support our show by going and getting t-shirts, getting swag, getting stuff with politics done right. And what we're doing is supporting asking you to support independent media because you're not going to get the real story from mainstream media. Right now, the mainstream media is an indoctrination engine for the plutocracy. It is telling you what to do. I am asking you, verify everything that you hear me say on this program. Don't just take it at face value. I am not trying to push you into saying, I am a Bernie Sanders supporter. I'm trying to tell you what policies people say they want and what policy they can have based on the numbers, based on the economic activity in our country. I don't have a reason to lie to you. I don't owe anything to anybody, but guess whom? You. So what I want to ask you to do is please go ahead and go to our store. Go visit us at store.politicsdoneright.com and get a t-shirt, get a cup, get a something just to support our show. But more importantly, I want to ask, and I'm putting that in the links right now, please consider becoming a Patreon of the show. You're going to be displayed. We're going to have you on our website, etc., to let folks know you are a supporter of independent media. You care about your American brothers and sisters. You want to make sure that they are served with valid information. Likewise, if you want to support our mobile equipment fund, you can go to our GoFundMe.com/independent-media-upgrade. That is GoFundMe.com/independent-media-upgrade. Of course, you can always contribute to the show. We need it terribly badly at paypal.me/politicsdoneright. Again, that is paypal.me/politicsdoneright. But please go ahead and visit our store, store.politicsdoneright.com. Okay, back to the program, and let's go ahead and talk to our caller from 602. Caller, you are hot. Come on in.
Hi, Egberto. It's Carrie again.
Hey, Carrie, how you doing?
I've called you a few times. I'm good. How are you?
Talk to me, my friend.
Good. Thanks so much. I will find a way to contribute to your program. I really appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you say, and I trust you, and I'm just really grateful to have you in the progressive fight with us.
Thank you so kindly. Thank you so kindly.
Yeah, thanks, Egberto. So, obviously we have what's been going on with the dropouts from Amy and Pete, and just thinking about, I understand that every campaign has a strategy and what it meant for them to drop out at this time and what it means to Joe Biden. I'm concerned about Joe Biden because of his record and because of his failing cognition and his signs of dementia. And I've worked with the elderly, so I don't say the signs of dementia lightly. I'm not saying that to accuse him of anything. I'm just realizing that the President of the United States should be of present mind. And so that's concerning, but also besides that is his record. He tried to cut Social Security. He tried to cut Medicare. He voted for the Iraq War. He, what else did he do? He just he
he's a senator from Delaware. Bank cards and all these guys that rip off Americans are headquarters because of the laws of that state. Come on.
Right. And yeah, that's so true. Oh my God, they've got all kinds of deals going through Delaware, I heard, where, all kinds of corrupt shenanigans going on with banking there because people can get an LLC and just move money around. But anyway, yeah, besides that, I also just so what I'm saying to you, Egberto, is, I'm a person who, and to anyone who's listening right now, I'm a person who's going to be okay no matter what. I think I'm going to be okay. I support Bernie Sanders because that's what's right. And that's actually what's going to help the other people in my country. His platform is what is going to help other people. I'm a privileged white 30-year-old lady. So, and when I say that, I'm saying that the way that I see the world is that we live in the richest country the world has ever seen, and we need to get out of this mindset of scarcity or that we can't do great things, because we can. We can. And I'm here to help people. Like, I'm here to help people in my country or around the world.
You know,
Like, that's why I'm here.
here, let me tell you
So
something.
when I say, yeah.
I wanted to, first of all, I have so much respect for you, and it is wonderful that you are the future, and to know that that the future is going to look like and think like you. In other words, we are going to have a people who are really into what America is supposed to be, and that's what's coming. We are at a transition point right now. And we need you and all your people, all your friends, all these folks to come together and understand that. Because it is that empathy that you have, that's evident in your voice, that we need out of people. A lot of the baby boomers right now, they are thinking, this is not possible. What is this going to do for my retirement? What is this going to do for my social security? Not understanding, first of all, that this is what they will need. They need to keep your generation whole. They need to ensure your generation is capable of being able to keep the transition going. And it is so bad that the plutocracy is extracting so much from all of us and misrepresenting all that is. Please continue, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much, Egberto. And yeah, when you were speaking earlier, what came to mind was that quote from Martin Luther King when he said the white moderate is his greatest enemy. Like the white moderate stands in the way of his movement. And so that's the same thing playing out right now. And what I'm saying to people is, hey, like, we can do this. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say to people is, we're trying to help you. We live in the richest country the face of the earth has ever seen. And just realize that what's happening to that money is it's going to our military.
Right.
And the people who are voting for Bernie are saying, hey, we're going to take some of that money and put it back into the American people for their own good and their own well-being, because we want the people in America to be educated. We want people in America to be healthy. We want people in America to have health care and not go broke, to have an education, because everything gets better when we just take care of our people. Right now, we just have hundreds of billions of dollars every year going to fossil fuels, which hurt people, going to protect giant multinational corporations, to go to all this other stuff. And what Bernie is saying and what we're saying is, hey guys, like, we're here to help you.
You know what
that's what his whole thing is like, we can change this and help you.
Let me just break in a second and say because we only have about 3 more minutes, and what I want to say is this. The one thing that I love, right, is with this consolidation is that we get a chance now to make that argument against less people now. And I love what you have to say. And we are going to have to not only encourage the empathetic bone in people, but encourage them to see why it's not only right, it's not only just, but it is attainable. Look, thank you so kindly. I have one more call that I have to take, and we don't have much time left.
Okay, great. Okay, I'll let
you
go.
have a
Thanks,
wonderful
Roberto.
day, and please, you keep putting that message out there, my friend. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Have a great day now. Bye-bye. Okay, let's go. 575, you're on. Real quick, my dear friend, 575. Come on in.
Yes, I'm calling from Silver City, New Mexico. I just want to let everybody know out there that we're for Bernie Sanders too. I've been putting the word out here in New Mexico, and I don't think that's right that everybody else decides who's the president on the other side of the state. I think everybody should vote at the same time, where everybody has a voice.
What is your name, sir?
Stephen Flores.
Stephen, let me tell you something, my dear friend. You just called into this show. Your voice just went to a whole ton of people. I want every progressive, every person that hadn't voted yet, every person to understand this. Your vote count, and it doesn't only count now, it continues to count. And you go out there and do not be swayed by those who are telling you who you should vote for. Do not be swayed by those who are telling you who the candidates are supposed to be. You decide that. It is still America, and we still have one. And for now, if we do things right, we still have one person, one vote. Let's keep it that way, Stephen. Let's keep it that way.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so kindly for your call, sir.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful day. Folks, again, I want to urge you to please support our show however you can. This is all we do. This is all we do. And it's for us all. And you know what? I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever. The truth of the matter is this goes beyond ideology. This goes beyond party. And in a lot of ways, that is why I think somebody like Bernie has a good chance of winning. Because it goes a lot of folks says, well, Bernie needs to come and join the Democratic Party so that because we don't want not somebody that doesn't call himself a Democrat. The man has worked for the Democrats. The man has caucused with the Democrats. The man has done everything with the Democrats. And now that he's asking everyone in the pool to be a part, and if he wins, they're wanting to deny him after having worked. I mean, remember what I spoke about, the dissing, people having a tendency to diss. I have one question. When those South Carolinians voted, did they understand that the status quo is what has that state one of the poorest states in the country? Do they understand that the status quo is what has that state and many of the other states that are uneducated? Do they understand that their upward mobility is being stifled by don't just blame Republicans. Blame all those that tell you we cannot. Blame all those that tell you the money isn't there when they're lying to you. Jeff Bezos' $160 billion. Mr. Gates' $100 billion isn't his earned money. They have taught you to believe that. They taught you to believe that those guys are really worth hundreds of billions of dollars. They've taught you to believe that Bloomberg is worth $60 billion. He's not. The engineers, the doctors, the programmers, that is the money that wasn't paid to them that they have accumulated in the growth of their girth. If we can get into Americans' mind that they are worthy, if we can get into everybody's psyche that they are worthy, that it's not enough for them to say, I'll give you $15.25 an hour, and then whatever humongous amount of money is made on you with your hands is mine, belong to the owners of capital. When you've been indoctrinated for a long time, it is so hard to tell you that the worthy one is you. The worthy one isn't Bill Gates. The worthy one isn't Bloomberg. The worthy one isn't all these billionaires. They play a part in having concepts. But you know what? This lowly guy behind this camera here developed a lot of software that if I were ever a person of capital would have made that much more. Folks, I love you all. We do this for a reason. We do this for a reason. I have a daughter, just got a stroke. $72,000 for 3 days in the ICU. That's what you call thievery, wealth transfer, your wealth transfer to a few. That's not what it cost. I'm going 2 minutes over, folks, because I want to get this out. 3 days in ICU, $72,000. If you think that is how things ought to be, or they need to be, and understand that other countries in the world have a much better system. Folks, I've got to tell you, it is on us. It is on us to make the change. It is on us to not fall for the crap that you hear on MSNBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, and all the people that are trying to get you scared of what you deserve, what you have earned, what you are worth. I want you to keep in your head that none of those billionaires, none of those multi-millionaires are any more worthy than you are. And we ought to start acting with that prowess that we really are. We ought to start acting like who we really are, the ones that really produce in this country, and stop allowing others to dictate our future. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out!